welcome back, my friends, to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan. I'm here with Rob Veno and Tony Mejia. We're going to get started right away, and I'm going to tee this up. We're going to talk about baseball. We're going to talk about, I guess no pun intended when I said tee it up, because we have Nick Borrman coming on to talk about golf, which there's not a finer group of gentlemen on this show that love golf the way we all do. And he'll be on around about 10, 15 minutes. Whenever he gets out of traffic and gets out of the car and walks into the pub, he'll be here. So in baseball, guys, Boston is leading in the American League East, 1.5 game lead over Tampa Bay, an 8-game lead over both the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees. The Yankees right now, along with Toronto, are 4.5 games behind the wild card pace for the two teams that get in. And as we were just talking about, the playoff format is back to normal. You're going to have 3 divisional champions and 2 wild cards. The 2 wild cards play. The winner of that then plays the number 1 seed, and off we go. So there's a lot of betting going on in the futures market for what I'm calling the second half of the season, or at least after the All-Star break, which is one of my database parameters because it's never exactly the middle. And that's the same with the NBA too. So New York Yankees are plus 135 to make the playoffs. And I don't think I ever would have thought at the beginning of the season I would have seen plus money for the Yankees to make the playoffs. So what do you guys think here? Do you think they're actually going to make a huge run and take down the Red Sox or at least get a wild card? Or is it just pie in the sky at this point? Let's start with Tony Mejia.
I mean, it's worth it. You've seen that they're 23-22 in the Bronx, which is,
absurd.
No pronounced home field advantage. So you figure that they'll be better there in the summer months coming up and then into September. They're 4.5, or is it? Well, hold on. It's 4.5 behind Oakland. So while I think that Tampa is probably going to hold on because Tampa, finds a way to be, to do this every season, it seems, and they're 53-37 now. And they own the Yankees head to head. You can catch them, and then with the hitters in your lineup and a Garrett Cole at the top of the rotation, absolutely. If you are getting a good plus 135, especially after seeing it where it was, close to even money last few days, like you mentioned. Might as well go for the good deal in terms of that. Like anybody in the American League can win a World Series. Same thing with the National League. There's, I don't think this is a situation like the Dodgers last year where they were head and shoulders above everybody else. I think there's parity in baseball this season for whatever reason, but nobody's really stood out as unbeatable.
It's probably because they can't hit.
Probably.
But I just had Jesse Scholl on a one-on-one show here at 3 o'clock, and we were talking about the Yankees, and it really is, mathematically, for them to jump over the 2 teams ahead of them in their own division is going to be tough enough. And then you have the teams out west that are just really the 3 of them are juggernauts. So I'm not really sure.
Do the Mariners?
Oh, it's not the 3 of them. It's just the
Astros and
A's, right? And then, of course, in the Central you have the White Sox. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to falter.
Right.
So
the Red Sox could implode. Could you see the Red Sox imploding?
No, because I like the Red Sox.
All right. I mean, look, I think that the Yankees are, at this point, they're a 500 team, basically 3 games over. They're a 500 team at home. They're a 500 team on the road. And we've done enough shows together to where we're looking at their talent level and all aghast, but the fact that this isn't a 500 roster. So, at some point it's going to come together. Can they roll off 8 to 9 straight wins, and do that maybe twice, win 16 of 20, that type of thing? Sure. Like that's not unheard of. and then you're right in there with Tampa and Oakland. So, for plus money, especially with the Yankees being a team that everybody wants to bet on, like the Lakers, that's interesting to me. Like it seems like the books are kind of quitting on them a little early.
Jesse, you want to add anything to this?
I'm surprised nobody mentions the Blue Jays. I mean, the Blue Jays have the same record as the Yankees. They are knocking the cover off the ball. They've got higher end starters at the front end of the rotation with Ryu and Ray, as opposed to just Cole for the Yankees. Alek Manoah has stepped in, and he's been pretty impressive. I mean, small sample size. If the Yankees are going to go on a run, it's teams like Toronto that they're going to have to beat, and it doesn't look like Toronto is going to be an easy out.
Not at all. And I'm looking at runs scored here. White Sox 456, Boston 464, Houston 496, Tampa 440, Oakland 408, Seattle 371, Toronto 444, Cleveland 379, Yankees 370. One run scored more than they've given up. They're probably lucky to be a 500 team.
Sure, because the pitching hasn't gone as well as they hoped. I guess the bullpen has shown up. But no, this season couldn't have gone worse for the Yankees, and yet we're still having this conversation. And Jesse's right. I mean, you can't write off Toronto. I just think that not having a home field edge, to really hang their hat on probably hurts them in a similar way to where the Raptors pulled the plug. You go from Dunedin to Buffalo, and I don't know that the Blue Jays are very comfortable up there. They're 19-20 at home, combined in those two spots, and then the aces, Ryu and Robbie Ray. Like, who trusts them? You trust them into September? I don't know. We're going to see, and the same thing can be said for the Yankees with Garrett Cole and spin rates and all of that. Like, I guess we can have a more intelligent conversation on this after the trade deadline. See if either of these teams make moves.
Well, that'll be a topic for the shows for Thursday and Friday, is to look at the any assets that are out there that might be sold by other teams. But, this run scored thing, I know that's not all of baseball, but the Yankees are only 6 runs ahead of the worst team in the American League. So, I'm thinking, like, if you're the GM, which, I would never be qualified to do that, but I like pretending I am. How in the world is starting pitching, like one starting pitcher, going to fix it? Like, it just seems like they have so many large holes across the board, and now the bullpen, I think, Rob, as you said it yesterday, bullpen gave up, an 8th spot or 7th spot in the 8th inning against Houston. And that's because they're pitching more than 3.5 innings per game now, because the starting pitching is just awful.
Yeah, I'll step in real quick. First, I'll say the reason why Jesse didn't hear anybody talk about the Blue Jays was because I didn't get here yet. So, but we had this discussion Saturday. Myself, Steve Merrill, and Joe Ranieri on another show. And, at that time we were talking about AL pennant, and the Blue Jays are plus 700. And to me, there's a ton of value in the Blue Jays for a lot of reasons. First off, John, you just mentioned that the Yankees have only scored one more run.
6 more.
6 more. But Toronto has the second best run differential in that division. They're like a plus 73. And they're a plus 73, A, because they're playing in the majority of their games so far in a, exhibition stadium down in Florida, and then they moved up to Buffalo. But B, it's impressive because they didn't have George Springer for so long. Now you add George Springer to that lineup only for the last 10 to 14 days, really. When he gets going in the second half, that lineup's as imposing as any in baseball. I think the key name to remember in all of this, and Tony talked about the trade deadline, is going to be Ross Atkins. Ross Atkins is the new GM of Toronto, And they were aggressive in the offseason. Obviously, the Springer signing was huge. They made a couple of big signings. How aggressive will they be at the trade deadline? And if they are, I can see them. They've got games at hand, guys. They've only played 87 games, where some of these teams have played 91, 92. I think the Yankees are at 89. So they've got extra games that are winnable. And, yes, you have to pass out a bunch of people to get there. You have to get past Seattle, who I think is a fade. The Yankees right now, with Aroldis Chapman being a mess at the back end of that bullpen, it makes it difficult for them. We'll see if he can get himself straightened out, but he's not been good. I mean, I would take Jordan Romano, the Jays closer at this point, the way they're both pitching current form. That can change for Chapman at any time. But their lineup, their frontline pitching, they're going to have to go get – there's going to be a battle here in the near future over somebody like Kyle Gibson for the Texas Rangers, who will obviously be dealt. Texas obviously has a ton of leverage now that Gibson has put up the numbers that he put up in the first half. And with the newly found cutter that he has, he's become a real force in a rotation. So he could step in and be very valuable as somebody. I think there'll be a lot of bidders for him. But to me, Toronto has every bit of chance with that lineup, with capable starting pitching, Ryu, Robbie Ray right now, and I get what Tony's saying. Come September, second week of September, you're in a 3-game series with Boston at Fenway. I'm not even looking at the schedule. I'm just, role-playing here. But if they are, you play a lot of divisional games in September. If they end up in Fenway or in Yankee Stadium, do you trust Robbie Ray at that point in time? That's yet to be seen. I think he was on that Arizona team that made it to the play-in game, and he had a really good year that year, so he's got some experience with it. But for me, I think Toronto would be a much better play than the Yankees, and you get better odds, slightly better odds. But certainly to me, they're more worth it than the Yankees are at this point in time.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm staying away from anything called the Yankees.
And a lot of this stuff, guys, is guesswork, right? We have to guess which way. If you're going to bet it now, you're just guessing who's going to acquire somebody at the trade deadline. As soon as the trade deadline hits, all these numbers are going to change, and then you're too late to the party, so to speak. But we'll see how aggressive Ross Atkins is. I don't really have a good read on his background, but I know what they did in the offseason.
This has been such a weird year for the Yankees because, you have Gary Sanchez showing up, and he's been the whipping boy for the last 2 years. And, you have guys that you have come to rely upon that are just no-showing right now and have continued to for months. So, I guess I'm conditioned to think like, oh, they're going to turn it on. But yeah, maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's absolutely true. From a talent standpoint, I'm in agreement. Toronto has the lineup that looks more potent at this point. But like name-wise, wouldn't you expect like a LeMahieu, a Stanton, Luke Voigt, now that he's back off the DL, to really get it going? You kind of expect it, but again, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's crazy with them because the Yankees' problems have even gone to the defensive side, right? I mean, Gleyber Torres has had a horrible year at shortstop. John, I think we had exact numbers on this show a few weeks back. I don't know what they are now, but I remember talking about how many double plays the Yankees have hit into. Where Toronto is concerned, the youth and the speed is an advantage offensively over the Yankees' big, lumbering type team. But they have hit into a lot of double plays. Like I say, Gleyber Torres has been a mess at shortstop for the most part. The issues are, they run a little bit deeper than what Toronto's do right now. With Toronto getting Springer back, to me, this is what we expected of them to start the season to look like. And we'll see what they look like in the second half. I mean, maybe the offense can't cover up some pitching problems. But with that lineup, you would expect if these guys can run out there and give up, in terms of modern day quality starts, 6 innings, 3 runs, right? If they can do 6 innings, 4 runs, Toronto should be able to win a lot of games.
I would agree. Go ahead, Jesse.
Mentioned Garrett Cole and Toronto's aces, how they may not be dependable, but Cole has not looked that dependable heading into the All-Star break. I know his last start was impressive, but his previous 3 or 4 starts, he was a disaster. Interestingly enough, I noticed he's the runaway favorite to win the Cy Young in the American League. and perhaps Rob would fancy a long shot play on somebody like Robbie Ray or Lance Lynn or one of the other big name pitchers in the American League.
Yeah. When we're talking further in the show here, I'm gonna run a couple queries in the database and see what team has the toughest road to hoe. And I did this before, and I know the Yankees were in the top 5, but the Yankees have had 87 ground into double play situations, which is basically a little bit more than one a game. And if you're doing that at any level, high school, 12-year-old, in-house, you're not going to win. Not consistently. And by the way, the team that leads the majors, pretty scary, Houston Astros. They have 88. But they hit so much more than the Yankees do, so they can afford to get into more double plays because they have more guys on base to get into double plays. You know, the Yankees aren't even in the top 10 in men left on base, and you would think that would be a number that would be way up there, but it's not. So, I'll tell you.
Most home games left in all of baseball, Toronto Blue Jays. So maybe we'll get comfortable in Buffalo.
I did hear they were going back to Toronto eventually as well.
This season?
I think I have heard they're negotiating that, yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
In July, apparently.
That'll be interesting.
There was
that's a game changer if that happens. I wasn't aware of that. I thought they would spend the season in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think they're in negotiations with the Canadian government. They went into those like last week. We'll see what comes of it. But yeah, there's a possibility that exists there. I think the Garrett Cole thing, real quick, guys, if there's one Yankee that I trust to get things together would be Garrett Cole. I mean, he is that type of arm, sticky stuff or non-sticky stuff. I wouldn't expect him to be a mess in the second half, but there's just a lot of other problems on that team. For Boston, John, your favorite team, I mean, the addition of Chris Sale, can it help? We don't know. But certainly Chris Sale, a huge name. On paper, it looks nice. Is he ready to pitch in the major leagues and win games again? I'm not so certain, but their pitching staff could certainly use a boost if they think they're going to hang on. What Alex Cora's done there has been pretty impressive.
For sure. I would say Sale can't hurt. I mean, the only thing he could do is get re-injured, coming back too soon, possibly. Who knows? But I don't think they're going to let him come back too soon, but I would think he would help. Maybe the Yankees will trade for him. You know, give up 17 first-round picks.
Well, if they think they're in it, they'll be as aggressive as anybody. I mean, you read all kinds of stuff about the Yankees going after people like Ketel Marte for Arizona. If Arizona trades Ketel Marte, they're out of their minds. But if the Yankees start landing people like that, players like that, it changes things. And again, it's like I say, it's a lot of guesswork here on July 14th as to what they'll all look like July 31st. But if you want to get the best of the number on the futures board, you almost have to anticipate what might happen, you know. Otherwise, those odds go down. They shrink quickly if teams pull off big moves.
Yankees 4-game series from the 15th through the 18th against the Red Sox in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium, and then a 4-game series from the 22nd to the 25th at Fenway. So 8 out of the first 10 games against Boston. I think that'll tell a tale. And then they got Philadelphia in the middle of the game. So, yeah, I mean, we'll know pretty quickly.
Right.
If they fare well in that, they can cut that deficit, significantly.
Yeah, it'll make the decision for the organization, right, to buy or sell. Those games right there will certainly make the decision a little bit easier. We talked about it, John, with the Phillies, right? The Phillies coming out of the break. It's not easy. Are they going to buy or sell? I think the Cardinals are in that boat. I think the Cardinals might end up selling because their schedule coming out of the break is very difficult as well. Cubs, we know, are trending towards selling. So there's going to be some stuff out there to pick up. We'll see what happens.
Well, we're going to take a break from baseball, and I know you guys are very anxious to talk with my buddy, Nick Borrman.
There's our man.
There he is. 1:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the first guy goes off. And it's Bland, the guy who made all the noise at the PGA. A true journeyman, a true English journeyman. It's going to be the guy that hit the first official tee shot of the British Open or the Open Championship. I'm going to get direct messages from all the people across the pond if I keep saying that. But seriously, as we talked this morning, Nick, the course is going to be some of the wildest, most difficult golf you can imagine. It's a par 70, 7,200 plus yards. It's not short, but the fairways run. This 4 days is going to be played on the ground, essentially. The guys who hit it a mile in the air are not going to do well in this situation. It's going to require three-quarter shots, a tremendous amount of creativity. And this course was built in the 1870s. It was basically the second major course in Britain, and was supposed to be the south version of St. Andrews, which it became very popular. And then 9 years after it was opened, it hosted its first Open Championship. We had a winner, Darren Clark, in 2011, shoot 5 under. And I believe, Nick, there was only 4 guys under par in that event, and that had some amazing weather. And then in 1993, some guy named Greg Norman shot 13 under. And just ran away with it and just brought the course to its knees. But the weather wasn't like normal. It was actually nice outside. But for those that don't know, the weather here can change drastically within 10, 15 minutes. It can drop as much as 30 degrees. The wind speeds can increase up to 35 miles an hour. And to reflect that, there's only one live tree remaining on the entire golf course. And it looks like it's on its last legs. I've seen pictures of it. But there is only one tree, and it's a very thorny tree, I might add. Like if you get your ball near that thing, I don't think you're going to be swinging. I believe it's on the last hole too. But anyway, the conditions are going to be wild, and I'm going to turn it over to Nick here to tell us like who to bet on. I will tell you this before you get started, Nick. There has been some significant moves here in the lines. John Rahm's still 7. But Brooks Koepka has been a very popular bet since our show. He's gone from 16 to 14. Spieth is still at 14. Dustin Johnson has gone from 16 to 18. Schauffele's at 18. Rory McIlroy's gone 16 to 18. Justin Thomas has gone, I believe, 18 to 20 under. But the big move has been Brooks Koepka. And I don't have a clue why, but I guess people are watching his practice rounds thinking that he's got it going. I have no clue, but what do you think?
Major championship. That's his forte, and perhaps he's healthy again. I mean, he came off the knee injury and was, nobody really knew what to expect the first couple times out, but he's got his legs back under him, and it's a major, and everybody expects the most out of him in the majors. He's done well in the Open Championship in the years past, too. He hasn't won it, but he's been close. So it's Brooks. He's going to always get bet. He's like he was Ricky. Ricky would always get bet even when he was terrible. He's finally turning the corner, Ricky, a little bit and coming back around. But that's, it's not surprising that he's there. I'm not betting him this week. Not that I don't think he's going to play well. I don't see a ton of value in his number. So
yeah, I agree. It's not the U.S. Open and it's not the PGA. And those are the ones that he's dominated. And I'm telling you guys, this is a different way of playing golf. And if you feel like watching even an hour of it, I think you'll become like addicted to it because it's so different. So different. Well,
what's nice is even if you don't watch golf and you just get up at a decent hour in the morning, it's going to be the only thing that's on. So you'll probably tune into it. It'll be, on a lot of major channels. So it's over by lunchtime every day, which is definitely different compared to the U.S. Open that was on until 10 p.m. On the East Coast. But, outright plays, I'll throw one out there that I bet actually last week during the Scottish Open was Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's 50 to 1. I got him last week. He's down to 40 to 1, but still a good value. He's not a long hitter. You already mentioned how the ball rolls out here. You don't need to be a long hitter at the Open Championship. You just need to be able to stay in the fairway. You miss the fairway here, there is some nasty fescue grass, well over a foot tall. That's going to be very hard to get back into play. So you got to stay in play off the tee. He ranks 13th this year in shots gained off the tee, thanks to being 17th in driving accuracy. So he fits that bill. And then he's a solid putter. He's 24th on tour this year in strokes gained putting. He ended up in a playoff last week at the Scottish Open. Didn't win that playoff, but that obviously is a good confidence booster for going into this week. So I like him to carry that over. If you look at his season body of work, he's got 12 top 25 finishes in 21 starts this year, so over half, including 7 top 10. So he's a leaderboard guy. He's going to usually give you a chance on Sunday. He grew up playing over here. He's from England originally, so he knows how to play these type of courses. And I think he's got decent value this week to be able to have a chance on Sunday. When you're betting outrights, all you want is a chance on Sunday. They're hard to pull through, but when they miss the cut and you lost your money before you even get to the weekend, it's kind of frustrating. So you're just looking for those guys that maybe will be there on Sunday, and I think Fitzpatrick's got a good chance to be there.
And to your point, DeChambeau is a guy that I think is not going to be real fond of this course. And his odds have gone down 10 from 30 to 40. So he's slipping the other way. But your guy I actually saw go to 35 now at a couple of places. So that's the trend you want to see for sure. Now,
Yeah,
we talked this morning too, like Jordan Spieth has been a very, very popular name across like every sports site there is that talks about golf. And being a contrarian that I sometimes am, it makes me a little concerned because he's not real accurate off the tee. But the rest of his game, as you pointed out, is starting to head in a good direction. So if you want to talk about him for a minute, that would be great.
Sure. Spieth is a guy that struggled over the last 18 months, really, and it wasn't until the calendar turned to 2021, really about March or February, he started coming alive. So you mentioned his driver. His driver is what went away over the last year and a half and took him away from being, the number one player in the world. But it's gotten much, much better. He's not losing strokes anymore. He's actually gained strokes over the last 6 months with the driver, which is something you haven't seen from him in that 2-year period. So he's back to at least getting the ball in play and being more consistent there. And Spieth's a guy that he's just got confidence, unlike a lot of players out here. A lot of swagger, a lot of confidence. When his putter gets hot, look out. He can heat up on the greens very well, and he's a past winner at this event. In fact, we talked this morning. The last 10 winners here, the lowest amount of time somebody had played in the Open Championship before winning over the last 10 years was 4 times, and that was Jordan Spieth. So, the average over the last 10 years is you have had to tee it up 10 times in the Open Championship before you've won. That's just how different this type of event is and the experience it usually takes to kind of pull through in this type of an environment. I mean, you've seen scores here. You mentioned Norman going low, but there's other Open Championships where people have gone low. It's just it's the weather. There's no defense to the golf course if the wind's not there. As you mentioned, no trees, not usually a lot of water on these type of courses. It's all about the weather. They're on the coast, so it's going to be up. It's going to be 15, 25 miles per hour. And Spieth is a very good ball striker. And if you're a good ball striker, your ball doesn't get affected by the wind. If I go out there and hit it and I'm a little off, and the wind's going to carry it 30 yards to the right or to the left. But these guys usually, especially Spieth, is not going to affect them too much. So I see why he's being bet. Another guy, I don't have him on my outright card. I did throw a bet on him in the first round. He's first round matchup. He's paired against Bryson DeChambeau, and you already mentioned him. He doesn't really have the game that's going to fit this type of a course. And Spieth's known as a fast starter, so you can do first round matchup. So your bet will be settled on Thursday, and that's just taking Jordan Spieth to beat Bryson DeChambeau over those 18 holes.
Yeah, and the guy I heard you talk on the WagerTalk Today show, Herbert, was a name that I was completely unfamiliar with, but I've done a little research. I can see why you like it because that matchup is 2 guys going in opposite directions. So tell us about that one too.
Yeah, another, I guess, neat part about the Open Championship is you got a lot of European players that are able to qualify for this more so than the majors in the States. So Herbert, mainly a European Tour player, coming off a tie for 4th last week at the Scottish Open. He won the week prior to that at the Irish Open, and he did play 2 PGA Tour events leading up to that where both were finished in the top 20 at the Travelers and at the Memorial, which is a very difficult course. He ranks right now, over the last 3 months, he ranks 17th in this field in strokes gained. But over the last 30 days, He's third. So trending wise, he's statistically third best player in the field over the last 30 days, averaging plus almost 2.5 strokes per round over the average. So it's pretty solid form right now for this guy. So the matchup you mentioned, he's paired up against Thomas Detry. And Detry's a guy that actually, I mentioned Fitzpatrick losing in the playoff last week. Detry also was in that playoff and lost. But that really was an anomaly. He had missed back-to-back cuts prior to that. Over his last 8 starts prior to last week, he had one other runner-up finish, but then he also had 3 missed cuts, and his best finish besides that runner-up was a tie for 43rd. So he's a feast or famine guy, more on the famine side. And over the last 3 months, he's lost over half a stroke per round, strokes gained tee to green. So trending in the wrong way is absolutely right. And right now, Herbert, minus 125 over Detry, I thought was pretty good value. And that's a tournament matchup, so that's who's going to fare better overall 4 days.
Yeah, it's crazy. Any other names you want to throw out there? I don't want you to give away everything here. We know that you were the $2 man yesterday, so I hope everybody took advantage of that, because now you're going to have to pay $499 to get his golf picks for the Open. No, I'm just kidding. But even if it's $39, it's still one of the greatest values out there. If you missed the $2, that's too bad, but you can still get it, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
One other guy I'll throw out there, I'll throw a long shot out there for everybody, because everybody likes the the long shot type of plays. Now, realistically, the winner in the Open Championship is probably coming in the under 50 or 60 to 1 range. But guys that could at least make noise, one I like this week is the old man Stuart Sink. He's 48 years young. He ranks 21st on tour this year in strokes gained approach. He's 7th in greens in regulation, which is very strong. And he somehow still is 25th in driving distance despite being 48 years old. And the Open Championship, more than any other major, is known for the old-timers, pulling through or having their names on the leaderboard come Sunday. I mean, Tom Watson, if you remember, just 10 years ago, he's 59 years old. If he makes that 8-foot putt on 18, he wins the Open Championship. So, I mean, it's guys that you don't expect or you're not talking about. But even so, Sink has 2 wins this year. So it's not like he's coming out of nowhere. And he's 150 to 1 on the outright market. But what I would do is, if you're going to put anything on the outright market on him, I would also back it up and cover your bet with either a top 10, which is plus 950, or a top 20, which is 4 to 1, plus 400. So that way, at least, if he doesn't get that outright bet, but he has a decent week, you'll still make a nice little profit on Stuart Sink this week.
So he's top 20. He's 4 to 1.
Yep.
Wow, that's what I think we all should do. Don't worry, Nick. I'll teach him how to go to the window and make a golf bet.
As far as my package for this week, it's the $2 play. It was yesterday. That was the one matchup best bet. But we have a promo going for this week only. Use promo code British20, even though it's no longer the British Open. It was an easy way to remember it. British20. The 4 days usually is $39. It's only $19, so you're taking $20 off. So it's basically less than $5 a day. All 4 days, outrights, leaderboards, matchups, and then I'll have ads each day for either daily matchups or maybe live outright plays as the week goes on. So all 4 days, $19. British20 is the promo code on my page at WagerTalk.com.
That's awesome. And by the way, he's been on my show 7 times. And guess how many times he's won? Don't all answer at the same time. You don't need a database for this. It's 7. I told Nick this morning it was 6, but it's actually 7.
All right, even better.
Yeah. So I usually have things already mapped out by now, Nick. But after this show, I guess I'm going to have some dinner and then figure out these.
Better hurry up. It starts in about 8 hours.
Lineups.
You better hurry it up.
Yeah, I have to remember too that I did really well in that last one, 134th out of 58,000 plus, and you usually don't repeat that back to back too often. But I figured if I do enough entries, maybe I can sneak one in there. But this event. I'm going to do the most entries because of the volatility. Some of the names you'll see, I think, on the leaderboard the first day, and I think Nick would agree with this, might be names that you don't know who the heck they are or even what country they're from. but they happened to catch the breaks. They didn't, hit balls that rolled in the middle of the fairway that somehow ended up in a bunker. And these fairways are not like flat. They have spines running down the middle of them. And if you catch one of those the wrong way, a really good drive ends up, just a disaster. The story is that the reason golf has 18 holes is because there were, back in the day at St. Andrews, there was 18 shots of whiskey in a bottle of whiskey. And when you see how this course plays and how tough it's going to be, especially when the wind's blowing, I think it was probably 2 bottles of whiskey when this course first opened. But it's just going to be sensational. I can't even wait.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome event.
We'll definitely stay around here, Nick, if you can. Tony Finn's in the house.
Always got to hang out for Tony.
He's writing down all the information we were just talking about.
John Daly.
John Daly. Hey,
Daly's listed.
I'm sure he is.
I don't think he's playing, though.
He's won this tournament, hasn't he?
Yep.
Yes. A couple times?
Twice.
5 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
At St. Andrews. And I remember that unbelievable putt he made from off the green on 18.
Yeah. He was drunk. He didn't really mean to use that club.
I think his girlfriend was caddying for him then. Back in the day. Oh, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't. As soon as I have a beer on the golf course, my nice little baby draw turns into a baby slice, and for whatever reason, one glass. I kid you not. I go from a pretty decent golfer to average real quick. But some people can have 20 beers and play better.
I start challenging lightning and stuff like that. It's not the guy I'm playing against. I'll have some beers and there's some rain. Here comes come on! I dare you! I dare you!
Well, Nick, let's test Tony Finn's memory. I taught him one of the greatest sayings Lee Trevino ever said. That when you're caught in a lightning storm and you want to be safe, you should do what? Come on, Tony.
You should.
Oh, he forgot.
You should do this. The things that don't last long in life are what? Dogs that chase cars and pros that putt for pars. They don't last long.
Lee Trevino said that you stick a 1-iron up in the air.
Yeah.
Because even God can't hit a 1-iron.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Oh yeah, I thought that was Yogi Berra.
Close, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So at 1:35 in the morning, I'll be using my DVR. But for those guys on the West Coast like Jesse, it'll only be close to midnight. You watch the first 9 holes, at least.
10:30 tonight.
I can watch the NBA game, then have dinner, and then watch golf.
Perfect to fall asleep to.
Life is good.
That does sound like a perfect evening for tonight. Let's get back to Major League Baseball and what we were talking about. I don't think we finished talking about or even started talking about the Reds. But when I was talking to Jesse on the show at 3 o'clock with him, we came away with that is our best bet for the second half to make the playoffs and also to win the division. So it's kind of an and or, which then kind of segues right into the Giants. Getting paid $550. Is it worth it to bet against them not making the playoffs? I don't know, but they would have to go 30-45 probably for that to happen, which seems very unlikely. However, we talked about the fact that their starting pitching staff is pretty old. The youngest guy is not a 20-something. He's actually a 30-something. And how does the 162-game season take a toll on those guys? I don't know. But let's talk about the Reds. We'll start with Jesse and just go right around the horn. Jesse, Nick, Tony. We'll skip over me, Rob, Tony. So, Jesse, you have the floor.
Well, I'm not a big believer in the Brewers. I mean, it does appear that they're playing over their heads so far. And you look at the Reds and what can they do better? Well, Luis Castillo had a tough first half. I mean, he he really stunk it up out of the gates. But if you look at his current form, the Reds have won 3 of his last 4 starts. He allowed 1 run or less in all 3 of those starts. So, I mean, all indications are that their ace is back in the house, so to speak. And, they just won 3 out of 4 against the Brewers, and they open the second half against the Brewers. And we'll see. That'll tell us a lot right off the get-go.
Nick Borrman, we want to see your expertise in Major League Baseball now. This guy's really good at soccer, too, by the way.
My expertise in baseball is my fantasy team and anybody on the Chicago Cubs.
Wow.
That's all I got. That's all I got. I was never good. I tried to bet baseball. I was never good at it, so I had to retire pretty quickly. Otherwise, I was going to lose all my bankroll. So that's why I listen to you guys.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Tony Finn.
Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds are one of those teams that's difficult to put your – listen, they're one of those teams that's difficult to put your arms around, whether they're playing well or whether they're playing poorly, whether their bullpen is exceeding expectations, meeting expectations, or squandering opportunities. Gray, since he's arrived there, has been a guy that's very difficult. As soon as his matchup is favorable, he's pedestrian, and as soon as you think that that he's the lineup that's getting ready to dig in is something that he's going to scuffle with, he strikes out 14. And I'll say this, and that is in that division in the NL Central. It is Milwaukee that is going to be, with the lead they have right now, and the way they can pitch, that they're going to be the team. It's not top secret. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that their teams catch. Is there a team that can catch them? If there is one, it's Cincinnati. Mostly because for 2 reasons. One, because the Cubs just became sellers. They are from what I've talked to, and we probably knew that. I didn't talk to anybody. We knew that. After they struggled last 2 or 3 weeks, they played the last 2 and 3 weeks like they played the first month of the season, April. The first 3 weeks could not hit a ball if you put it on a tee in front of them. And again, they're hitting, last 2 weeks or last 14, 15 games of the regular slate, they hit less than 200, especially against lefties. And outside of a strong bullpen, they sold their best, they sold their best arms. And if they were planning on being a contender this year, you would still see Darvish in a Cubs uniform. They didn't plan on it, and so that's what's going to happen. It certainly isn't the Cardinals, who can't hit or pitch. And people want to say, listen, lots of people want to say, well, if it wasn't for injuries, things would be different. And I disagree. I respectfully disagree. This was a Cardinals team that 2 years ago in 19, if you remember, when they picked up the KBO, when Miko came over from KBO and excelled. I mean, outpitched his peripherals beyond the wildest of expectations. And they don't have. Listen, Kim is their best pitcher right now, their best healthy, and he's still not. He is a bit above average. If it wasn't for Goldie and an occasional good day from Molina, both catching and hitting, then this team probably would be very fortunate to win 65, 70 games. At this point in time, I have an underplay on them, under 86.5, that I feel very comfortable with. So this was all about the Reds, wasn't it? The Reds are the only team that I think can catch the Brewers. However, I still have lots of question marks. Listen, their bullpen is really good or it's really bad, guys. So what you want to do before you do anything with the Reds, you want to call me or text me and say, Tony, are you on the Reds tonight? And if I say yes, you run like a girl and stay away from them. If I'm not on them, you want to get on them. That's the Reds.
Well, the Steve Merrill over-under for number of Rob Veno laughs this is the first time it's ever been 4.5.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we started at 1.5, remember? At 4.5, and
we
are now officially at 3, so we have 2 more to go.
If I know that,
But
I would
you're,
have brought up Quaaludes and Pablo Escobar or something.
I mean, right now, Tony, you're one of the most transparent guys I've ever seen.
Transparent being that you can smell you can smell the alcohol in my. Oh,
for some reason, it looks like you can see like right through your shoulders.
Oh, you know why?
It's pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool. I mean,
you just brought one of the first cardinal sins of a green screen. Don't wear a green shirt.
I see it now.
See, that's the Tony Finn improve your life quote of the day.
Listen,
don't wear a green shirt.
I try to be an example of. Listen, my kids are the best kids ever. Right? Well, I was that father. I was that father that would come home and fall asleep in front of the bathroom when all the kids had slumber parties, and I was the one that set the example of not what to do. So they grew up really, and I'm proud of that. So you guys don't wear green shirts in front of a green screen. There we go.
Especially on St. Patrick's Day, huh?
Now, can I just take the shirt off and show my pecs?
If Joe D'Amico was around, I guess you could, but as the host, I would ask you not to do it yet. I need time to think about it.
If D'Amico's here, we'd probably have a little contest. See who could scare away the most viewers. I would win.
But Tony, you're like 7 inches taller than him.
Are you sure?
Based on the shows, yeah.
I didn't. Wow, that's amazing that you can assess that from these shows. I mean, I can.
Well,
you're in Vegas, so you need to come out with me and D'Amico when I show up in August. That'll be interesting. I'll knock you guys out in one stone, and that'll be a fun night.
Will be a fun night. I tell you what. I'll supply. What are you going to supply? Are you supplying the recreational drugs? Are you supplying the tequila?
I'm not above stopping at a dispensary. But
okay, well then I'll supply the American Express Gold Card in case we have to bail ourselves out of jail.
It sounds good.
I'm in, baby. I'm in.
Just remember that American Express card is in my name.
Well, and you know what? I take not only to bail us out of jail, but there's a couple. I'm not real comfortable at strip clubs. I'm not real comfortable with the girls sitting on my lap and breathing bad breath in my face and asking for money. However, we got John's American Express card. It's good.
Vegas, you don't need strip clubs. I mean, honestly, that's. I don't think I've ever been to a strip club in Vegas. Maybe I'm missing out, but Hollywood, Florida, that's a different story. But Las Vegas, I doubt it.
That's one of the places that they have a little sign that when you go in through the door, it says, the old mantra, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Not if you come in this building.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why is the building not in Vegas?
John, did you know, did your wife ever tell you that gullible is not a word?
No, but I hear handsome.
That explains everything. Huh?
I hear handsome quite a bit.
Well,
I'm confused.
She's a good wife.
Oh, as I've said, outkick the coverage by at least 50 yards. At least. All right, let's get to the NBA game, and then we'll wrap it up.
Let's do it.
And then there's a big promo I actually want to read off too, which I might as well do right now.
Who are we promoting?
We're promoting everybody.
Oh,
and it goes like this. You want to build your bankroll for the football season? We have you covered. Even though most sports shut down during the Olympics, Major League Baseball will continue as normal, and our summer baseball promotion will get you every Major League Baseball release from your favorite WagerTalk handicapper from the start of the Olympics through the first full college football Saturday, kicking off on September the 4th for only $199. Coming out to only $33 per week. Major League Baseball returns from the All-Star break July 15th, and by signing up early, you can get up to 8 days free, dropping the daily price to just under $4 a day. It's the lowest price we have ever offered on baseball, so this is a limited-time offer, so lock in your handicapper before the cost goes back to the regular price. And my understanding is that this is both WagerTalk and Sports Memo. And I also understand that you can pick from either stable of professional sports bettors. So it's pretty cool.
Did you say that it's through the first Saturday of college football season? That what you said?
I did.
Well, that September 4th would be the second Saturday, though.
I think that was when I read that it was a script.
Okay.
I think
It's August.
they meant the NFL week is September 4th when Dallas plays.
The NFL starts in September. I think it's the 12th, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah. I know there's a handful of games on the 20th of August. Yeah, too.
Yep.
So,
but
if they're gonna give it to you to September 4th, then I think you ought to just buy like 2 of them, just so you have 3 or 4 handicappers you're listening out there. I'm sure we can probably put 3 or 4 together and make a deal for them.
There you go.
All 5 of us, and then get Nick's golf.
What? Yeah, that's I agree. Yeah.
I finished first in college football profits last season. So
nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Very nice.
Where was that promo, John? Come on.
And what?
I didn't. It wasn't written out for me, so I couldn't talk about it.
Tony, write it up.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to write it up. I'll just spit it out. Oh, is it Anthony? Should we promo feature Anthony?
No.
And should we include the fact that with that purchase that you get a personalized phone, iOS and Android clip of Anthony and Patrick Mahomes trash talking each other? I mean, what else could you possibly want in life?
That sounds good.
I can tell you. You want to get John Ryan's NFL package because he was #1 in Sports Memo last year.
There you go.
65%.
Oh, that promo came out quick.
Didn't have to write that one.
No.
I mean, Mejia with Mahomes in that picture and just getting the subscription that I will autograph. I will humbly autograph it. It'll be small.
Boys. Yeah. The M&M boys, and I'm certain that they will. They really enjoy trash talking San Diego / Los Angeles, Denver, and Oakland / Las Vegas.
Did anybody see this?
So many slashes in this division.
Did anybody see this Travis Kelce thing where he's all of a sudden saying that his name is actually pronounced Kels?
Oh, Jesus.
I tell you, these guys, they do so much catamine and so much crap when they're not playing football that they lose their minds.
It's true. And it plays just like that. It's like, what? Like, your brother's in the league. He's Jason Kelce. Like, nobody's fixed this? And he's like in a taxi cab confessions type deal. And he's like in a car talking to somebody, and he's like, yeah, my name is actually pronounced Kels. Oh, okay. Would have been nice to know that a decade ago.
Right. Yeah. When you're at Cincinnati.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. So that'd be like Jesse Scholl saying, you guys are mispronouncing my name. It's Jeez.
Jesus. It's Jesus. Jesus.
Jesus.
Get it right.
Yeah, but to do it the right way, he can't change his name until he's won 300 NFL bets in a row. Then you start changing your name.
In a row? Well, then he will never be changing his name. 300 in a row. 300. How about just make it 3? We'll let him change his name. Just win 3.
That's the guy that loses a bunch in a row wants to change his name. If I lost 300 in a row, I'd want to change my name.
If you lose 300 in a row, that's just as hard as winning 300 in a row. It's absolutely just as hard.
Yeah, I guess it is. I don't know anybody that's even lost
it's supposed to be
20.
as hard.
If Kelce had never been an All-Pro and was a 4-string tight end, maybe he would change his name. I mean,
that might make sense.
These guys change their name when they become world famous, being the point.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Maybe his wife
formerly known as Kelce.
He's married to one of the U.S. soccer team members, isn't he?
I thought that was J.J. Watt. You might be right, because they like both Watts are married to soccer players, but I'm not sure about Kelce.
Pretty sure Kelce is too.
Is he?
I don't know.
I actually watched that dating show he did.
He's married is he married to one of the women's soccer players or one of the men's soccer players?
Isn't it Zach Ertz? I think it's Zach Ertz, right? Is that what you said, Tony?
It's Zach Ertz.
He's married to one,
Yeah.
Julie Ertz, yep.
Kelsey and Zach Ertz are married.
I mean, Nomar Garcia Parra is married to one.
Yeah, that was Mia Hamm, right?
Mia Hamm.
Yep.
Oh, Mia Hamm. Well, Mia Hamm.
But that dating
yeah.
show, Tony, is where you learn to dislike Travis Kelce.
I liked it, and I liked him. I thought he was
I
funny,
like
but yeah,
everybody.
he was kind of obnoxious because a little bit childish. But I thought he was
is.
entertaining enough to pull it off.
Yeah, he's
And then
pretty young.
what was it called?
I can't even remember. I do remember seeing a couple episodes of that.
I
though.
watched it. I watched the whole thing. Let me see if I can bring it up. Something of love or something.
Gents, I'm gonna head out. I gotta go pick up the.
All right, Nick.
All right, next, see you later.
All right, guys.
Hey, good luck, Nick.
Good luck
we're
to you
gonna
guys.
hammer it.
Good luck. to you
Catching
all.
Kelsey was the show. Not
We're
it.
gonna
There you
hammer
go,
it.
catch a Kelce. Matthew
Keep it
Fitzpatrick
all
just
out.
went down to 20-1, Nick. That was my money.
No, he didn't. Get out of here. See you, boys.
Take
All
care.
right, see you, Nick. Thanks a lot.
Kayla Nicole. Whoever Kayla Nicole is, that's not. It doesn't say they're married. It says they're, they're cohabitating. They're
Okay.
living. Yeah, that I'm not certain. That's this. This could be. This is December
Oh yeah, all
6th
right.
of
So,
20
yeah, it's not a soccer. A social media influencer.
Oh.
That can apply to. That's pretty subjective.
You're a social
Well,
media influencer.
You're in a
Absolutely.
you are a social media influence in our circle.
Right. All right, let's break down the NBA finals because I have to.
Okay, let's do it.
Right.
Final.
That's it, Tone. Push
Yep.
it along, Tony. That a boy.
So wait 1 second here. For Max on record, because we still don't know why he calls DeChambeau meathead, but he does, and I have no problem with it. But instead
How
of
about the Shambo? How does he feel about it?
I haven't even had him on the show yet.
Well, get him on the damn show, John.
Yeah. Well, he's a busy man right now.
All right.
It's a different time
Go.
zone. I mean, it's hard. But anyway, back to his question. I don't like the Polder over lefty bet, and lefty, for those that don't know, is Phil Mickelson. It's a pretty big price to pay. I would rather pay. I would rather get 350 plus 350 that DeChambeau does not make the cut. There, I said it. I wasn't gonna. I tried really hard not to make a negative bet on a human being, but I just did.
Who
now
won our
I'm
bet
ready
last
for
week?
somebody to do badly.
Who won our head-to-head bet? Me and
But when you
I-
guys bringing down the NBA, I'll look it up.
okay, and I do like my shirt. It's quite it's
It's out
I don't
there.
know. I kind of like it.
All right.
I wish I had
Yeah.
one that really looked like this. You wear that kind of shirt when you're robbing a bank or something. Be really blend right in.
Yeah, it looks like you should be on Star Wars on the movie because it looks like you're one of those guys that's really not there, but he's there.
I'd be a Jedi.
When the Skywalker's talking to those guys, the evil guys, and they
God.
kind of look like that, Tony. To be honest with you.
I'd like to be a Jedi.
All right, the NBA. Phoenix Suns are at Milwaukee for at least one more night. Actually, it was mandatory of at least
No.
tonight.
Yeah.
If they win tonight and then win at home, it would be over. But they're playing in Milwaukee tonight. Milwaukee gave them a little bit of a beatdown in Game 3, a game that they had to win, and a game that, as Jesse had said, it would have done the NBA no good for the Suns to go up 3-0. Not that they were throwing away the game, but they had a little bit of a letdown. Now the big question is what happens in Game 4? Do the Suns take control of this thing, or does Milwaukee even it up, and then we bring in the meltdown because we know that teams that win the first two games are 31-4 in the finals to go on and win. And I think the pressure on the Suns would become immense going back to Phoenix if Milwaukee wins tonight. I have a play on the total, and I believe a couple of other guys that are with me right now have some big plays going, so they will not be required to say anything about that side or total. But if they want to comment just generally, that's fine too. So let's start with Jesse here, and we'll just go round the horn with what your take is on tonight. And then to finish up the show, let's all do a player prop. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
All right. So Jesse, what do you think is going to go on the floor tonight in Milwaukee?
Well, like I said, it wasn't going to do the NBA any favors for the Suns to go up 3-0. So you were expecting Milwaukee to get favorable calls in Game 3, their first game back at home. There's been a lot of complaining about it since the Suns are up in arms about it, much like the Bucks were up in arms after Game 1. And what we saw happen after Game 1 was you go to Game 2 and the calls sort of evened out. And will that now happen again here in Game 4? I kind of suspect that there will be less of a disparity in favor of the Bucks at the free throw line tonight, and that might affect the total. That might affect some player performance totals as well.
Like it, Tony Finn.
Yes, I expect. I guess we should ask Rob first off. The crew chief tonight. Rob, have you checked that yet? It's James. It's
yeah.
What's his name? It's James.
It's James Capers.
That's correct. Yes, it is. And how do you? It's not the brothers crew. It's not. They don't. Capers doesn't have a strike zone the size of Will Little's. So, what do we? Before I go forward with this, and see if I jive with you on your crew, on the crew here. I'm not. I would rather give advice on Major League Baseball crews and home plate umpires than I would on NBA officials. Your take on the officiating crew?
Well, I've got playoff numbers for them, Tone, and
right. I saw those, but I want to hear you say what you say.
The second ref in this is David Guthrie, who's been a lead official in his other 11 assignments in the playoffs. So he takes a back seat to James Capers here.
Is Guthrie he's not the replay official? He's actually one of the court officials?
Yeah, it's okay. Capers, right. Guthrie, and Courtney Kirkland.
Okay.
Is the third guy on the crew. But they've got, I posted some numbers on Twitter as far as against the spread is concerned, but there's also some strong total numbers here for these two guys. If you combine Capers and Guthrie in their playoff assignments so far this season, they've had the Bucks or the Suns 6 times combined, and those 6 games have gone over the total five times, never gone under. One was a push. So they're 5-0-1 to the over when reffing Suns or Bucks. If you can make anything out of that, great. If you don't, think it's
you can. You either play that over or you fade it because it's the other sides do, right?
Right. And the other number, real quick, was that they have had a strong cover rate for Phoenix in these playoffs. I looked that up just because our good buddy Ski believes that refs love Phoenix. So,
yes. Well, of course.
There's your numerical or statistical ref report for tonight, Tone. So I'll let you go.
And to Ski and listen, Ski is great. He's one of the best, but he's got to get over this Lakers getting trounced by the Suns. He's got to get over this shit. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tony.
Because Suns are never going to be good enough, even if they win at all. So, mine's pretty short and sweet to this, and that is that I've been, as you guys both know, I played some props that were some +4s, +5, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, +400, +500 on the Suns scoring 121 points in the first 2 games. I thought they would score 121 or more, and I think Game 1 was I believe it was 475. I think Game 2 was 430, and I played them both, and they scored 118 in both games. Okay, they shot to their skill set in those 2 games, those being home games, right? And Milwaukee didn't really. I didn't think they played to their skill set. I thought they were a little bit slow and a little bit hesitant offensively. However, both games went over. I also believe that if you look at last game, the 120-100 game, I don't know what I didn't play the total in Game 3, guys. I played a money line play, but I believe that was real close to the total. Was it on the total? Was it a 220 or 221, Rob? What was it? What was the closing number? Okay, 222. So it was a little short, but again, close, right? The first 2 went over. I think this game, the Suns I said in my Game 3 write-up that it's not the Suns that need to make the adjustments. It's Milwaukee that needs to make adjustments. And the problem with making an adjustment against the Suns, they're a versatile team. I think they're the most versatile team. They're a team that can win running. They're a team that can win at pace. They can win in a deliberate fashion. They can shoot threes. That's not their best asset, but they can still do it. Mid-range jumpers are the best asset they have, whether it be Booker or whether it be Paul. And basically elbow jumpers from 10 to 15 feet. They're about 67% on the season. And in pick and rolls, Chris Paul is savvy, man. He finds the mismatch. He's going to find the mismatch. And unless you basically are going to sag defensively and dare somebody to come to the rim, I think Chris Paul beats you. I like the over, the total of 1 or 221 tonight. At least I got a 221 on it. So I like everything about this game going over. I don't think either team. If you take interviews to heart, there was a couple interviews between Sunday's game and tonight's game where both teams said we're going to do this. Suns said we're going to play a little faster and we're going to be a little less indecisive. And Milwaukee said, this is how we want to play. This is what we're going to do. The Greek's going to get the ball in the lane, and he's either going to have a finger roll or he's going to hit a guy on the perimeter, one of the wings, Middleton, or their shooters, for a good, clean look beyond the arc. I like the over.
Well, I'm going to actually say something. I was going to skip over me, but I'm the host, so I'm not going to. I just ran this query, and I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but in the finals, with the road team having won 2 games, the opponent, obviously the home team, having won just 1 game, the under is 10-1. Not going against you, my friend Tony.
I don't care. You know,
throwing it out there.
I like
it's not a tremendous trend, actually. It doesn't have a real good p-value or JR value, but it is decent enough to catch my attention. Doesn't mean I'm going to the window with it, but 10-1 is 10-1. Oh, you gonna ask me a question, Tony? What comes next?
What was the total? What was the average total that went under 10-1? What was the number? The bookmaker's closing number.
Well, we have a range from 171.5 back in June 16th of 2005, Spurs Pistons, and that went over.
So you hold it. Stop. You're saying that this trend has only happened 11 times since
in the finals
since
1995.
Interesting. 1995. Well, that would have been a Knicks or it'd been a total of about 162 or something. How the hell did that go under that?
Well, here now you got me thinking here. Now since 2006, which is the that's taking off the last 2 games in 2005, 2003, is 9-0 under. Since 2006.
And that's if the home team or the visiting team in Game 4 is up 2 games to 1 because they're basically the visitor in this situation. So it's going to be. We've only had. I'm shocked that we've only had 9 occasions in the last 30 years where the home team won the first 2 games. I'm amazed.
The opponent won 1 game, so it's Game 4 of the finals.
Oh, so it didn't necessarily have to be 2 home games. Could have just been the visiting team's up 2-1.
Yep, visiting team's up 2-1. How they won those 2 games doesn't matter. They're up 2-1 in Game 4 and on the road, and this is the under.
That's amazing.
Just saying.
Okay.
So then the next question is, when the Bucks win tonight, the Suns win the series. I know that's not astounding, but when the series is tied 2-2 and the team is at home, which means they obviously had played the first 2 at home, they are 5-2 against the spread in Game 5. And that's the pivotal game, as we know. It's like whoever wins Game 5 usually wins a playoff series.
Usually.
And that actually has not lost to the spread in the last 5. So actually at one point back in 03, 05, 06, that team playing at home in a 2-2 series final was 0-3 against the spread and 1-2 straight up. And since then they're 5-0. Straight up and against the spread.
All right then.
Well, it correlates to the total too, but I won't waste any more time on that because over the years you can see the totals in these games goes from 171 steadily higher, 188, 196, 201, 218, 220.
Yeah.
That probably correlates to how much scoring was going on in the league that year too.
Well, I mean, totals over just since 2017 have jumped nominally. I mean, it's been
Right.
significant. Yeah.
As I always try to get Steve Merrill to mention on the NBA tip-off show is that 2007 NBA league average was 106 and change. Then it jumped 5 points in 2018 to 211 and change.
Right.
And it's been that way. That's why I group the last 3 years, because that's what you do with data science. You have to group similar things. Homogeneous commodities.
That damn MBBQ. Hell of a band.
Yeah.
I just don't trust them on NBA handicaps and totals. But as long as you're supporting it, I'm in, John.
Well, thanks, Tony.
You're welcome.
Let's move over to Anthony Mejia. I almost didn't say that right.
What?
What?
Anthony.
That is not my given name.
It's like a drink. It's like a drink.
Well, remember that one show when I had you guys on for the first time? It wasn't to be offensive. I didn't know how to differentiate between Tony and Tony.
I told you.
Tony F sounds awful. Tony M, that's kind of okay. But Tony F, that's not going to work on this show too long before somebody slips. What's that, Jesse?
F20.
Did you guys hear what he said?
Oh, he's reversing it for you, F Tony.
Oh,
Yeah. That's. I'm listening. I respond to that quite naturally because I'm married 27 years. So
that was a barb. That was definitely a barb from Jesse to Tony Finn.
You think so?
But Tony Mejia, let's hear it.
It's pretty hard to insult me.
Let's hear what you have to say about this NBA game.
Well, let's keep things most important in priority, and we'll have to ride with Tri-State over Bivouac this weekend. Have you guys seen what Maurice States looks like right now in the Big Three?
Who?
They tipped off this weekend, and man, like you just got to isolate against Maurice Spates. He looks like he ate himself from a former life, and then he's going up against Jermaine O'Neal and Amari Stoudemire this weekend.
Whoa!
So you'll if you see a line, because there are lines, ride Tri-State over Bivouac. Bivouac is pretty terrible. So I caught some of the big three action this past weekend. Joe Johnson still looks like he can play. Gennaro Pargo's out there playing really well on that same team. So they look like the favorites again. I forget which team that is. I think it's either Trilogy or Power, one of them. But as far as tonight, I mean, we've seen the under prevail the first 3 games in the first half, and then the fourth quarter dictates whether the total hits or doesn't. That's what's happened in all 3 games. It got to 223 in game 1, and I believe it closed 220. Got to 226 in game 2, and it was right around 221-ish, 222, and and it got to 220 in game 3. And closed 222, and there was a 3-pointer shot by Abdel Nader that was missed. That if he had hit, the over would be 3-0. So it's been pretty spot on. Like I said earlier on the NBA tip-off show, I had it at 217.5. So they're overperforming simply because these 2 teams are the 2 top defensive teams in this postseason, and so we haven't seen that in the first 3 games of this series. Both teams have taken turns looking awfully comfortable. You be it Giannis in the paint or the Suns making a living from beyond the arc. So it'll be interesting tonight. Again, we'll see if DeAndre Ayton can stay out of foul trouble because the Suns have issues. If he can't avoid that, considering they have Frank Kaminsky as the backup center now that Dario Saric is out. So they're going to have to go small. I would go small if I was Milwaukee. I think Brook Lopez too much of a liability in the pick and roll. But Budenholzer's stuck with him and is playing Bobby Portis lesser minutes. I would love to be in on any Bobby Portis over points and rebounds prop, but Budenholzer hasn't made that adjustment yet. So you're kind of guessing. I mean, is tonight the night where he kind of pulls the plug on Lopez playing 30-plus minutes and goes with Portis for 20? If so, then there'll be value in those points rebounds. For best bets, I'll give out a player prop, but that's my take on the game. I've got a 5% pick going on at WagerTalk, so we'll be very heavily invested tonight.
Good.
Sounds good to me. I don't know why I can't get Tony off the solo. There he is. All right, so a minute each. We'll do a player prop. I'm going to start, and then we'll go myself, Rob Veno, Tony Mejia, Jesse, Tony, and 1 minute each. And I'm going to make it real simple. I'm going over Chris Middleton. Points, rebounds, assists, over 37.5, laying minus 105. I think they need him to play well for Milwaukee to stay in this game and possibly win it. So now we'll move on to Mr. Veno.
All right. Let me just say real quick here, guys, that where this complaining out of Monty Williams is concerned about refereeing over the course of the last game, it's so NBA coachish to complain when you lose. If the guy really wanted to complain, he would have complained in game 2. His big complaint is one player on the Bucks took more free throws than his entire team. But newsflash to him, Giannis took more free throws, had more free throw attempts than the Suns did in game 2 as well. He shot 18 times from the line, and Phoenix only shot 14. So it's 2 games in a row. It's not a referee problem. It's a Giannis problem. Ever since Budenholzer decided, second half of game 1, that he was going to go small for the most part with Giannis as the 5, they've had immense trouble stopping him. And so that referee, it's not a referee whistle problem. It's that they have a problem in the paint. DeAndre Ayton can't guard this guy. He couldn't guard him regular season. Giannis went for 47 and 40-plus in the other game, and he can't guard him now that he's 85% healthy on that knee. He looks sometimes like he's 100%. So I don't know where that changes. As far as a player prop goes tonight, I like Cam Johnson of the Suns. Listen, they go 9 of 31 from the three-point arc last game. And if you take Jay Crowder out of that equation, Jay Crowder's 6 of 7, they're 3 for 24, the rest of these guys, 12%, 12.5% from three-point range. They all can't go stone cold again. And I think Cam Johnson's a guy at 12.5 for points and rebounds combined. He makes for a pretty good play here, minus 10 cents. You're not laying very much with him here. You're laying regular juice. But he's one guy who didn't shoot it well last game. I know that role players generally on the road, I've said it a million times, but a lot of people who came before me said it a million times. Role players on the road in the playoffs a lot of times don't show up. But I expect somebody, maybe more than one body on the Suns, to shoot better from 3 than they did last game. Devin Booker, anybody. The only guy who shot him was Jay Crowder. I'm going to take Cam Johnson, points and rebounds over 12.5.
Awesome. I'm right behind you, Rob. I'm doing it. I'm going to tell you. Hopefully I have enough money to bet to hop on with Tony Mejia's picks, too.
Borrow some of Steve Merrill's.
You got pizza money, yeah. Pizza money in the cushions. Look, to retort to what Rob was saying, Rob, you don't think that even though it's out of his hands, you don't think that was a little gamesmanship to try and manipulate not seeing Scott Foster the rest of the series? Like 1 and 12 now, Chris Paul in Scott Foster refs games. And again, I mean, we talked about this on the tip-off show. It's not his fault that the Suns shot 9 for whatever it was, 31 from three-point range. But the fact that Scott Foster is even out there, knowing the history that he's got with Chris Paul, it's like 12 in a row, 12 losses in a row. That's not coincidental. It's just the style of the way he refs. I think that's entirely what that was. I think it was Monty Williams hoping to manipulate, Scott Foster having repped his final game of the series, which it could be out of his hands.
Goodness.
The only case I was trying to make, Tone, is Zach Zarba was the lead official in Game 2, and Giannis had 18 free throws, and the Suns team had 14. It's happened 2 games in a row, no matter who the referee is. They got out. Free throw attempts, Phoenix is -9 and -10 the last 2 games, right? So Milwaukee took 1 extra free throw with Scott Foster's crew than they took with Zach Zarba's crew. The history between Foster and Paul, obvious, but it happened. You could have complained the game before.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with you. I just think that's what that was. I just think that he went out of his way to say, all right, I'm going to voice this, and hopefully we'll take this out of the equation. But no, I'm in total agreement with you. So tonight we'll go with I guess I'm kind of fading John Ryan here because it's one or the other with Middleton and Holiday. In terms of who shows up, both showed up obviously in Game 3, but I'm going with over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Drew Holiday, who had 21, 5, and 9 in Game 3. He's had 5 rebounds consistently in this postseason, and I think he's capable of getting that, of getting you assists, of getting you points. 33.5. I mean, it's not like he was tremendous in Game 3, and he still got to that number. And he's engaged. Obviously, he's got to play defense against either Booker or Chris Paul. But he's been getting in foul trouble. He played over 40 minutes in Game 3, so I think the minutes will be there. So it's almost like pick one: Middleton or Drew Holiday. Holiday's number's lower. Give me Drew over 33.5.
I agree 100%. It's got to be one or the other. Yeah, one or the other has to play very well tonight, and I don't think you're fading me. I think we're on the same page.
We can share this together?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hold hands this year.
I'll bet Middleton. You bet Holiday, and then if I lose, we split the profit.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, Jesse, you're the man on deck here.
Well, I agree with what Rob said. I mean, Phoenix didn't shoot the ball very well in the last game. I like them to get back to more what they average. In particular, Devin Booker, he's been brutal in Game 1. He was brutal in Game 3, but then he was 8 of 12 in Game 2. He's feast or famine, but the one thing with him is he keeps on shooting the ball. He gets the attempts. And as long as he's going to get the attempts, I think the averages will work out. I see that Bet365 has him over 2.5 made threes, even money, and no juice bet. I like Devin Booker to get over 2.5 made threes tonight.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
That seems to be pretty obvious. Hey, before we get to Tony Finn, Rob, Veno, and I were talking about this because in Philadelphia, you guys probably don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons.
Oh,
but
he can't shoot.
But see, I just won the bet over Merrill because Rob Veno just went over 7 legitimate laughs on the show. I am so proud of that. Anyway, Ben Simmons. Okay, so I already gave you the answer to the trivia question. Who holds the NBA record? Or at least, I think it is the NBA record. The NBA record. Now, don't shake your head, Tony.
Spit it out.
For most free throw attempts in a quarter.
Is that made or missed? Or just attempts?
Just
free attempts.
Hackabin? Was that a Hackabin situation?
No, it was rookie year. His rookie playing year. He was, out the first year.
How many did he make? I bet you he made over 70%.
He attempted 24 free throws in a quarter, and he made 15 of 29 overall for the game.
All right. So, I mean, that's not quite that good.
That's not great.
No.
That's horrible.
But why didn't the coaching staff then, that's what Rob and I were talking about, why didn't they recognize that was a problem in 2017?
They knew it then.
Why do you now...
They knew it.
Brett Brown coached them as a kid. Look, and that's what people miss out of NBA coaching and that lifestyle. Like, you've got a team of people that tell you what to do. It's not your coach. Like Mike Budenholzer isn't to blame for Giannis Antetokounmpo not showing up, even though we'll have him fired at the end of the season.
Yes.
Anyway. It's your team, like your team of people that know you have to sit there and work on your free throws. And I'm sure Ben Simmons does work on his free throws, but it's mental. It's between the ears.
Oh,
I looked him up real quick, Tone. I looked him up yesterday when we were on the show just to go back because I kind of blanked on his LSU 1 year. But at LSU, he shot an enormous amount of free throws. I think it was over 300. And he made 67%, which is crazy. He's gotten progressively worse since he got to the NBA, which is, it's not
puzzling. Very puzzling.
But watching him play, it's not puzzling. I mean, you see, he's a guy that wears, and you can't do this as a professional athlete. You wear the last possession or the last trip to the free throw line on you like an albatross. It's awful.
The old elephant memory.
You definitely cannot do that in golf. I'll tell you. You can't be thinking about the double bogey you just made while you're standing on the next tee, and you can't be thinking about the birdie you just made on the previous hole on the next tee.
Golf was the first sport mentioned in this broadcast, by the way. Just so you know.
That's awesome. Well, for this weekend, it's how do they pronounce it over there? It's golf. I'm going to go out and play some golf.
Oh, man, I'm way over the total now.
All right, Tony Finn, you're the anchor.
Yeah.
And this would be a good bowling team, come to think of it. It's 5 guys. No. Tony Finn would be the anchor.
I only bowl in the 5th frame. That's it.
Well, you go for that red head pin.
Miller head. This is Miller High.
Yeah,
Miller High
your
Life.
frame.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. High lifer. I'm a high lifer. Just let's get it out. Let's get it transmitted. That's how I am. Tonight,
I'm listening.
the prop is in the first 3 games of the series. And on this show and other shows, Rob and I have preached how difficult it is how much easier it is to win games when you're proficient, when you value possessions or you value the ball. And the Suns have an assist to turnover ratio that is that's pure gold. It's money, right? Game 1, Game 2, Game 3 of the 3 games of this best of 7. The first 3 games has seen Chris Paul have 6-4 and 2 turnovers. 6-4 and 2. That's Game 3, 2, and 1 respectively. Okay, 6 last Game 4, then 2 in Game 1. For the Suns to register a victory, which they did in the first 2 games, they played a little more reckless. They were a little more. I shouldn't say reckless is not the right word, but they played a little faster. They played a little looser, and there wasn't an obsession by Paul to leave his feet. He'd rather come down. He would rather almost come down and travel than throw the ball away, which speaks to that. I'm not saying that's unintelligent. I'm saying that's how Chris Paul plays that Republican role, and he's very conservative when it comes to handling the basketball. That won't be. I have some intel, and it's reliable intel from a guy that between their loss in Game 3 and Game 4, that there was you saw they were hesitant. You saw Anthony, the drink, the mojito.
Just butchering them.
Said it's a mojito. He said that this team's going to shoot better. They are going to shoot better. They're going to shoot better. They can't shoot what they shot there. This is pretty typical. Look at what they've done against the spread this year. If you don't think some of these numbers, it's not like the Suns are some aberration or there's something new, that they're a new play toy for the bookmakers. This is a team that was perfect in the bubble last year, right? Perfect.
It's true.
They knew they were coming in this season with a group of guys who knew how to play together. They were going to play smart, especially when they added Chris Paul. Chris Paul has shown year in and year out. He hasn't shown that he can do much in the postseason, but he's shown wherever he goes, he doesn't have a problem fitting in unless he has to call the police on you, and he will throw you under the bus. Chris Paul will. Count on it, and he'll also be good tonight, except I like over the turnovers tonight. It's only 2.5, guys. 2.5. No big juice. Over 2.5 turnovers for Chris Paul. If both teams are going to play a little faster, and Chris Paul is going to get this 40 minutes, because this is the game. In fact, they put a focus on both these games, Game 3, Game 4. The Suns do not want to go back home at 2-2. They want to go back home at 3-1 minimum. And I would have played tonight's game much differently had they won Game 3. I am over the total I like, and I do like Chris Paul over 2.5 turnovers. That's my prop. Take it or leave it.
Like I said before, I love the transparency you're showing tonight. It's really, really good.
I know.
It's refreshing.
You know, it's I'm always pretty transparent. I don't really hold much back, but I'm going to have to come up with some shirt like this, and I'm going to wear it, and then I'm going to say, why, Tony, why are you wearing green? I'm not. This is just a new shirt that John Vegas Ryan designed for me, and I get a percentage of the ones I sell. So here we go.
I remember the scene now. It was Luke Skywalker's father, but not Darth. It was not Darth Vader in his costume.
I am your father.
It was another scene where he was actually the way he was before he was turned into Darth Vader. Way, way back before your time, Tony. Way back.
Yeah,
way
I know.
back.
That's when I was still doing acid. I was in high school, so I don't remember those movies.
That's good. I didn't, obviously, and I went to all of them. But anyway, I am not a Trekkie, by the way, so don't even think about calling me that, because then I will get angry for the first time in the show.
Don't ever call really. John Vegas Trek Ryan a Trekkie. Ever.
Yeah. As long as, or Kelly.
I'm quite,
don't
include,
don't call me Ryan Kelly.
Just call me anything you want. Just call me when you have free money and dinner. I'm there.
All right, I'm trying to save up for the money for the flight, and I'll be out. But anyway, guys, remember to get these guys' best bets tonight. You can get them at WagerTalk and or sportsmemo.com. Mr. Mejia has a 5-unit play going tonight, and if you get any of our picks, I would highly recommend that's the guy you pick for tonight. But, of course, you knew about the ad earlier in the show where you can pick handicappers from any one of the sites and get a very, very good deal on the rest of the Major League Baseball season all the way up to the September 4th cutoff mentioned in that ad. Mm-hmm. We're going to be back again tomorrow here in Manny's Irish Pub, and we're going to talk more baseball futures. We're going to probably talk about the Open Championship. I bet a lot. So on behalf of my co-hosts here, don't forget to hit the bell and give us a like, and we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow. So for Jesse, Tony F., Tony Mejia, Rob Veno, and myself, may all the wins be yours.